Watching the tape, did it tell you anything that you didn't know during the game?
No, not really. I knew a little bit, in the pass protection, they bowled us. We couldn't handle the front of the pocket. It was getting collapsed back on KJ, and they were taking away all the deep throws and most of them, and we were having to throw the ball underneath. I knew we were having trouble with their blitz, with their line movement, whether it be with the blitz or their twist game. And we had uncharacteristic, we struggled snapping the ball, things of that nature. Defensively, I thought our D-line played pretty well. I thought it was good. I thought Bumper came back and, he hit guys and then they went backwards, which he hadn't been able to do. Still too many open guys in the secondary. But for the most part, I probably saw what I saw live.
This is regarded as one of the better offensive lines in the country. Why did that happen?
It's hard to put a finger on it because all five of them have to play in sync, and especially when you're getting twists and movement games. When we would out a call or when we would go out to a potential blitzer, the looper would come back in the A gap in the backside, and we were doubling the three up to the backside linebacker. We got caught a couple of times with that instead of just the whole line just run. But I don't know. We just haven't had that, so the bottom line, it was probably the runs that we were running into that. We tried to change and run some gap schemes later. Obviously, AJ Green came in and we were able to crease a little bit there with that, but it's basically we just weren't ready enough for the movement is what got us.
What did you see out of the team yesterday? What do you maybe think the response might be this week with a team that's, has a chance to make the college football playoff coming in here?
They're really good. Their quarterback Daniels makes them go. They've got a big physical offensive line. Coach Davis is doing a really good job up there. They're playing some young kids. They got a couple of freshmen at tackles that are good players. Butte and that group of wideouts is really good. They got a young freshman tight end that's really good. Three backs that play a lot. They're all good players, but they're a physical downhill running offense that if they want to get the ball outside, Daniels is a guy that's going to get it outside, and he's hard to bring down, but he can throw it too. And I think they ran the ball 20 times on Alabama, and the rest of them were all passes. Defensively, very, very good on the interior, very good. Wingo and Roy, they're really good down there. And if you get in a pass game, 18 and 11 Gay, they're both long, got speed. And of course, they got Joe back there playing, Joe and Brooks playing safeties for them, and they've been playing really well. They've got a young freshman, Perkins, that plays out in a Sam and nickel type situation, and a Sam Backer, and he's really a talented young guy too. They have a lot of speed. They're LSU. They got a lot of talent, and they're big. They're playing really well right now.
On KJ's situation, can he get better in the course of a week, or what's the criteria for how he can go?
Well, I think he feels better this week than he did last week, so I expect him to be able to throw today. And if that's the case, then I feel like he'll be fine by Saturday. I answered a question the other night about talking to Kendall about KJ. That question was more in reference of what was his health, not necessarily he's not playing well or we're going to take him out. And it was about, is he healthy enough to play? And the answer was yes. And so there was never really a thought of pulling him out because of performance. It was about whether he was healthy or not. And obviously he ended up playing the last quarter. So, got back in groove a little bit, but I just wanted to clear that up because it wasn't about taking him out about performance. It was, was he healthy enough?
Well, Brian Kelly, and like you said, LSU's got a lot of talent, but they've been down by their standards. What do you think about how he's brought them back so quickly?
I think he's done an outstanding job. They lost to Florida State and everybody was talking about how terrible he is, and obviously he's not. He's had a lot of success in his career everywhere he's been. And I've gotten to know him a little bit in our head coaches meetings and things. And of course he hired or he kept Brad Davis over there that he knew I had years with Brad. And so we visited about that a little bit, but he's a really good coach, good man. And I'm obviously happy for him, how he's went into LSU and got him to this point because I like him, but obviously, they're the top right now in the SEC West and we have an opportunity to knock them out of there. And that's our goal.
In your experience playing Alabama, I mean, I know all these SEC games are tough, but is there any advantage playing a team after they play Alabama, especially a tough emotional game like LSU just had with them?
Well, I would say, obviously we lost, so certainly we better have a chip on our shoulder because of that. So you have to look at yourself first, and then, that was a big time game. Some people claim you can't get up twice in a row. LSU's actually had some back to back that were good opponents, that they've had success with, but I don't know how much truth there is to that or not. I've about come to the fact that if your team's not ready, you're going to get beat. And if they are, you got a really good chance to win. And it's about your prep and a lot about emotion and things of that nature. And it's a lot easier to get up when you're at home, in that type of game against Alabama than on the road. And hopefully you play better because of it. But I think the physicality of Bama certainly is a point to consider when you're playing a team after they played Alabama.
With KJ, is it still the shoulder that's been bothering him?
Yeah, it's really in the clavicle area, but there's nothing. It's bruised, and it's hard for him to throw the ball without some type of pain. And like I say, I think he's much better than what he was last week. So hopefully we'll get a good week of practice out of him and go from there.
And going back to the twist and the movement that Liberty used to stop your run game, is that something you've seen this year from other teams before? How has the offensive line handled it in the past?
Well, we've handled, for the most part, I can remember Georgia last year, that they physically just dominated us, but they ran their defense. It wasn't a lot of movement, a lot of knockback. We've seen that, and they did the same thing against Wake Forest. Not the same, but a lot of similarities of their game plan against us was against just like Wake Forest. And to be honest with you, I don't think we simulated that. I don't think we could simulate the flatness of their movement and the speed, and ultimately the speed got us.
Does LSU do some of that, or do you think they might after seeing the tape?
Well, like I said, when I met with the offensive staff today, I told them we better get ready for it. They have shown it in a game or two, but that's not their forte. But if they see that, it's like anything. If you get a field goal blocked, if you don't fix it, you're going to get another one blocked. And it's the same thing here. They're going to test us. They're going to do what they do because they're having success, but there'll be some type of line movement, twist games in there on rundowns just because Liberty had so much success doing it.
You said a couple weeks ago that Travis and McAdoo would kind of be competing a little bit in the secondary. Just what's the state of that competition after McAdoo's Day Saturday?
Well, I think there's always a competition going on, but I think McAdoo played really, really well, especially for his first real time out there. I thought he played real well.
Coach, in retrospect, would Malik have been a better option for you, just given that KJ was struggling the way he was?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess, you can look at it after the game. You got to make the difference is where y'all and the public and all that, you got post game to sit down and go, well, maybe this should have happened. Maybe this should happen. You're making real time decisions, I think it is true that if you don't practice the entirety of the practice each day and each week, you're not going to play as well. I think that's proved the test of time. But at the same time, when KJ said he was ready and he wanted to go, I believe, I don't know. I believe that most people would say, okay, let's go. And I know I did. And so, but there's always concern when a guy doesn't, practice and he practiced every day, but it wasn't like, a full practice and throwing the ball all the time and those things.
Did you feel like the energy was where it needed to be
No.
on the sideline and everything?
No.
What's causing that? Because it seems
don't
like
know.
Mississippi State, it was kind of a similar deal.
Well, it may be because they're thinking their leader might not be out there. I don't know. We had all kinds of reasons to win, even if just winning is the reason, winning homecoming. But we had all kinds. I mean, to be the top 25 team, to get bowl eligible, homecoming. We had all kinds of reasons to go out there and play hard and play well, and we didn't. And I had in last year, it was Rice, and then it was Penn State for a half, and I looked at it as it was time off. What are we doing in the 4 weeks between the bowl game and between the first game? Because Georgia Southern, we didn't have that problem. I'm talking about non-Power 5, schools. And so I was looking at it as, what are we doing in that long stretch? We got to fix it, so we can play well in openers and we can play well after buys and we can play well in a bowl situation when we have time. But now, as you think about it more and more, it's, for the most part, it's non-Power 5 teams that we haven't, we woke up against Missouri State late. We never really woke up Saturday, and it shouldn't be that way. Those type teams, we've got to have a hunger, and I respect all of them. Heck, one Saturday beat us. But we've got to somehow, and we were trying to simulate it in practice with the fast starts and all these type things. I don't know why, but it was flat and you could feel it. And we couldn't get it turned around fast enough, to be honest with you.
Coach, so 2 weeks there in a row, you won the toss, took the ball first. Then last week, I think Liberty won the toss, so you didn't really have an option.
Yeah.
What would you, if you win the toss Saturday, what's going to be your option there?
Well, no matter what happened, we won the 2 previous games. And now one of them was a fumble on the 50, the other one started out sack, Auburn. The card tells you to the logic tells you to defer, put your defense out there. We were trying to change it up against BYU. It worked. We won. We had the fumble, and then we kept it last week. It worked. Auburn, we won. And then this one here, they won the toss. But if we're not going to go down and move the ball and score on our first drive, there's not any reason to take it.
You got your night game for Ole Miss. They still don't know if it's 6 or 6:30, but from a recruiting standpoint, how happy are you about that?
Very. I think our crowd will be excited and into it, and I think they will. LSU's coming to town. I think they will 11 a.m. too. But you specifically ask about recruiting. That should be a big day for us.
Coach had a couple of guys get in trouble this weekend
Yeah.
with Slusher and Brown. Do you have any comment on that, or have you made any disciplinary decisions with that?
Yeah, we've suspended them for at least 1 week, and they've got AM runs. I've done one this morning, and they'll both participate in practice on the scout team, and it's unfortunate that we it's not acceptable, but part of our job is to teach these kids, and hopefully we'll get that done.
Does Jay Johnson kind of slide in there at nickel, or how do you see that playing out?
He can. I mean, he would be certainly one of them. Chavis might be another option to go back to safety. You might move Blair to nickel. I don't know, but with the emergency of Quincy, that kind of buys us another player, another option to move around.
Specifically on Jaden Daniels, from game one to now, what's
Man.
the progress that you've seen out of him?
Wow. Well, I think he understands the offense. And the thing about it is they've played good teams, good coordinators, and they've schemed up some nice plays, and they got him dead to rights and don't touch him, and he goes for a long run or a touchdown or what have you. I think he's always been a really outstanding runner, but I think it's his throw game and his receivers. One-on-one, they'll catch the ball now. Coach Hankton over there does a great job coaching the wideouts, and they'll go up and catch a contested. They're big, and they'll go up and catch a contested ball. But I think probably overall, I think his knowledge of the offense seems to be playing more confidently, and his passing has been really on point.
To use a baseball analogy, they used to say never trade within your own division, but players, you've got McLaughlin from there, and they've got your guys. I mean, how weird is it that you're going to see Fouché and Brooks across the way?
Well, they did everything they possibly could for Arkansas, and I'm glad they're both playing and having success at LSU. It will be obviously different, because last time I saw them on the field was for us versus Penn State. So obviously it will be different, but they're doing well, they're playing well, and it seems to have worked out for them.
That play in the end zone where the ball bounced off Trey Knox's
Yeah.
hands, second time that's happened. How have you seen him respond from that after it happened during the game on Saturday?
Well, we had two receivers too close. I mean, when the ball went in the air, the only guys that could catch it was us, and we ended up tipping it to them. He responded, I thought, well. He had a couple of really nice catches, a couple of touchdowns off of it after that, but that was one that could have pulled us when they had 7, and it just didn't happen. But I'm not for sure that part of it wasn't, we had two receivers too close, and it was a mistake on a route, and he just didn't catch it.
I don't know what you thought about Kelly rolling the dice on that 2-pointer.
It worked for him. It didn't for me. I can explain that. Guys, I think a lot of guys would do different stuff if they didn't worry about coming in here. after it didn't work. You know what I mean? I mean, whenever he called it, it was like, that's the thing to do. Get the game over with. If you're saying we can beat Alabama from the 3-yard line, we can beat them, and they can't do anything about it. That's what he did, and it worked. But it takes guts to do that now. I mean, it does. And I did it against Ole Miss last year, and we didn't make it. But I know you can say it was on the road versus at home. I get all that, but that takes guts, and he did it, and it worked. And more power to him.
You mentioned that their O-line. I think I read somewhere I'm not sure they've had the same lineup, or they've had to change the lineup a lot, I guess, because of injuries, and obviously, you know, Brad and all. Just wondering what you think of and playing those young tackles. Just wondering what you think about the job he's doing there.
I think he's doing an outstanding job. They had Bradford playing at left tackle for a while, and they moved him back into guard, and they put the 2 young guys out. Well, Emory Jones has been playing tackle, but Will Campbell has really, to me, helped them because he's done a really good job at left tackle for him and allowed to move Bradford, the big kid, back inside at guard. But they're big and physical and well coached. I mean, if you look at them technique wise, they're what an offensive line is supposed to look like off the snap of the ball, whether it be run or pass. He's done a really good job, in my opinion, with the front, and he's had to play multiple looks as far as, where his guys are playing. That's also a sign of a good coach, that you can still have success, but you may not have the same guys at the same position every week.
Brown and Slusher, how did you find out about it yesterday, and what was your initial reaction?
Hunter Yurchek called me and told me. I had not seen it, and we talked about what we've done in the past with disciplinary actions, and then we called the kids in and talked to them.
Have you had a chance to talk to any of the players yet? And if so, when you address them to keep them focused, any idea what you're going to communicate today or whenever?
You asked me if I've told the team about it, or I'm sorry.
Have you communicated with any of the players, or will you address the team? And if so, what might
No,
you
I
share?
haven't. We have our team meeting this afternoon, so I haven't talked to any of the players about it besides the 2 players that were involved in the incident.
Obviously, you haven't met with them yet, but you mentioned being flat and stuff. There's only so far, I guess, coaches can go with that. Like, from within the team, the players got to take ownership. Has anybody stepped up and been vocal about, like last year? I know Grant Morgan got into people's rear end about it, and Catalan too, maybe. But who are the guys doing that now?
Well, that's a good question. Our leadership more like by committee and not necessarily by 1 or 2 guys. When you have a committee of leaders, you may not have the Grant Morgan. We obviously, I think everybody knows Poole's a leader for us, but he's been hurt. You know what I mean? You understand, KJ's a leader for us, but he's been hurt. So sometimes you lose your confidence in speaking out when you're in your mind, you're looking and you're going, they know I'm hurt. They know I'm not playing. I'm not playing as well as I did. So our leaders have physically been hurt. And so they got to get over it and know that people look at them as leaders, regardless of their playing status or anything like that. And we need to develop more of that. And I think we had it, but I think just rationalizing it, I think our top 2 leaders, those guys, have been hurt. And I think that we've got to build their confidence back up on saying what they need to say to the team.
Talk about the DBs who flipped teams, but Landon Jackson's, he's an LSU guy, or was an LSU guy, and he's played pretty well for you. on the D line, blocked that field goal the other day. Just what do you thought about Landon? His addition to the team and how
I've really liked his addition to it. He didn't play as many. I think he played like 15 reps last week. But he's been a really good addition to us. Gives us a little bit of a pass rush threat. He came off that knee. I think he's getting better each week, things of that nature. So I'm glad we have him and Nudie. They both helped us.
Nice one, Mitch.
I noticed Hudson Henry has seen his reps increase the last couple of games. I'm
Mhm.
curious what you've seen from him that's led to the increase in playing time.
Well, he's earned that. Backs got beat up a little bit last Wednesday, I believe, at practice. But he's earned the right to go in there. He's been playing well, and I'm glad he's got a great attitude. He's gone from maybe my first year to a starter, and in and out and all those things. Kept a great attitude. His physicality is a lot better than what it was, and he's doing a good job for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.